Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. It's 3-layer Thursday. It is so cold here. It's March now, hurrah. I'm filming this on Thursday and uploading it on Thursday. I've been working from home today. I have my heating on for like majority of the morning, which is unheard of around here. We really haven't had the heating on all that much. It's now 5:30 and it is still freezing. So freezing, I've put this sort of coat thing on that David got me for my birthday, and I've also got a body underneath which is tucked in and a t-shirt, and I'm still cold. But we carry on, hopefully. I mean, spring does seem to have sprung in terms of I've been seeing daffodils and light seems to be more available to us. But yeah, this video is my video that I've started doing. Well, I think this might be the 3rd or 4th year I've been doing it. It's 10 goals in 10 months. So I'm a big fan of January. I say that all the time, don't I? But I feel like in terms of like New Year's resolutions and stuff, I like the year to sort of like be a bit bedded in before I make any sort of big plans for the year. I do reading resolutions, but I like to make 10 goals for the rest of the year, starting in March. And something else I found out this week is that March used to be the first month of the year. I mean, I don't know when. I've done no further research apart from read that on Instagram that March used to be the first month of the year. So I've got 10 goals here for the rest of the year. Potentially 10 to finish, 10 per month, but there are some sort of like ongoing ones. And I'm going to review my 10 goals from last year. So I will link last year's video down below, but I'm literally about to go through them, so don't feel like you have to. So I gave myself 10 goals last year. I've completed 5 of them, so half. Pretty pleased with that. We'll go through those before we start on this year's goals. So the first goal from last year was a low buy or a low spend year. Now, David and I got married last year in December, and I'd also wanted to do a few little bits like pay off my overdraft and chip in at my credit card and things like that, as well as save for a wedding and all the sort of like stuff that goes around that. We were very fortunate. We had financial input from both of our parents, but there was things we wanted to obviously do ourselves. And I'm really pleased to say that I've counted last year's low buy and low spend year as a success. As things got nearer to the wedding, and because I tried to do so much of the wedding sort of secondhand, my dress was secondhand, all of our glassware and everything was secondhand. I will link the video for where we talk about our wedding below. Obviously things came up that we needed to pay for on the run up to the wedding, which we didn't realise we would need to pay. Well, not so much we didn't realise we would need to, but we'd had a relatively low spend year until December happened. So then it's Christmas, it's also my birthday at the end of November. So yeah, I'm definitely going to count last year's low spend year as a success. I was really, really pleased with myself. What I used to do is, instead of sort of just buying whatever I wanted, which is what I used to do previously, I'd make a list of everything that I wanted, and then on payday each month I would purchase something. And it made me really mindful of the things I was buying. So I'd think about whether or not I'd want, so like I might see a nail varnish colour I wanted, and anything from like little things to big things went on this list. And then by the time it come around to like the end of the month when I was allowed to buy one thing, I'd be like, I don't really need a nail varnish, I need a new bra. Or I bought myself, I remember buying the Dry Soon, the heated air which is here 1 month, or period knickers and actual stuff that I needed rather than stuff that I wanted. I don't like, sometimes it's nice to buy something that you want, which I did do last year as well, but I was much carefuler last year with my spending, and like I said, managed to creep out of my overdraft and chip away at my credit card, as well as have a wedding, so, and the wedding of my dreams. So yeah, very pleased with that. Another one I had last year was 1 craft project per month. I started this with such good intentions. So when I filmed the video last year, I talk about the craft sets that I got for Christmas, and I got some lovely, well, this is one of them, a little felting thing that I got, some cross-stitch kits, an embroidery kit and things like that. And my plan was to sort of do 1 a month and then to continue that as the year went on. I think I got halfway through the March project, which was an embroidery on a t-shirt, which is still over there and hasn't been done yet. Maybe I'll do that soon so I can wear that t-shirt. And didn't go any further, so that is a complete fail. But the 2 crafts that I did, the crochet, oh yeah, this was the other one, little crochet pot plum. and the felting I really enjoyed doing. So yeah, I think maybe with things like that I need to, well, it's a nice target, isn't it, to do a craft project per month if you've got the time. But I also like read loads, so although audiobooks, it was nice to do audiobooks. I also did quite a lot of crafting on the run up to the wedding as well. I suppose that itself could count as a craft project a month. Maybe I'll give myself half a tick for this, because on the run up to the wedding, so David and I cross-stitched everyone's little nameplate, and then we painted some easels. David painted some easels and had them on there, so they were really, really cute. So that took a long time. So yeah, I did do some crafting last year, but it wasn't a craft project a month. Maybe I'll give myself half a tick. All right, half a tick. 5.5 stars. 5.5 things I completed last year. Then number 3 was continue to learn French. The ultimate goal is to read a book in French. So this was on my goals for the year before last. I've been using Duolingo and getting on with my French on there, and getting on quite well with it. But I don't know what happened. I just missed a few days, and then it doesn't take long to sort of fall out of practice of doing these things, does it? And I didn't do hardly any learning French last year, so that is a fail. And I certainly didn't read a book in French. Number 4 was eat and cook more seasonally. This is something that I definitely did last year. I'm much more mindful of what's in season, and I think that's a lot to do with, we get a veg box delivered, which has like seasonal produce and stuff that's grown here in the UK. In fact, everything's grown within 50 miles of where we live, so which is really, really great. So I've been very much enjoying that. I also subscribe to, which I have done for a long time, but like sort of just started making a bit more notice of it, a Sainsbury's magazine, and the recipes in there are always very much tailored to like what's in season at the moment. Same with free magazines in Tesco's, for example. So in supermarkets in the UK, you quite often get sort of like recipe slips and magazines with recipes in, and they're always very tailored to the season. So I've really looked at those. And Gousto, which is something that we use as well. Gousto's got a great deal on at the moment, by the way. If you're thinking of using Gousto, I'll link it down below. It's 75% off your first box, which is mad, and then 25% off for the first 2 months. So yeah, if you fancy using that, then do. And like I said, they very much cook seasonally. I'm really actually quite eagerly anticipating their spring recipes, and that really helps. So yeah, big tick for that. Number 5 was use the library more. I used the library so much last year. I'm really, really pleased with how much I've been using the library. I actually use two libraries. I've got like the library which is near to me where I work, and the library that when I'm at home. And I did so much of my reading last year was done through the library, and not just through the library, but through the Libby app as well, where I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and that certainly continued into this year. I'm literally sat here next to a massive pile of library books, so thrilled with how much I use the library. And I think that was really reflected in when I was sorting out my bookshelves this year as well. Like at the end of the year, I always do this massive sort out and what am I going to keep and everything. And a lot of the time I was like, well, this book I could probably get at the library, and it's been sat on my shelves for like 10 years. If I can read it at the library, then I will give that away. So yeah, really pleased with how much I use the library. So 100 new to me films. This is a goal that I think I'm going to keep going forward. I did not complete it last year. So the year before last, I did watch 100 new to me films. It wasn't on my list of sort of like goals for that year. But David and I did watch 100 films each. Last year I didn't get very far at all. I think I got to sort of like number 40 or something. This year, very much on track. I've watched 16 new to me films this year. And like I said, it's the beginning of March. So doing very, very well. Pleased with myself. Much more on track than I was last year. By this time last year, I'd only watched like 1 new to me film. Sorted out my underwear and sock drawer. I did that. That was very, very cleansing. What I realised is I had a drawer fit to burst in with socks and knickers and stuff like that, and I just didn't wear any of them, or they were falling apart. So I had been bought for Christmas the year before last a box of Thought socks, which have actually appeared in one of my Christmas gift guides. And they're socks made out of bamboo, and they're just lovely and comfortable and wash up brilliantly. Like, oh, here we go. This is a pair of Thought socks. They are still in as good nick. Sometimes moments where I just think I'm not quite as nimble as I used to be. I would have been able to get my foot up, no problem. Here we go. So these socks I got 2 years ago. They're still in bloody good nick, and they do them in lovely colours. I actually asked for another box for Christmas last year. So I've got I think 10 pairs of socks. Had them on rotation, lovely stuff. Same with my knickers. I got rid of all my knickers that weren't period knickers or knickers that I bought from Snag Tights. All of my tights are Snag Tights. So like there was so much. Oh, and I bought myself a couple of new bras last year as one of my purchases things. Oh no, that's not true. I got a John Lewis voucher and I bought that for Christmas. I treated myself to 2 bras, and yeah, so everything that was languishing in there that had never been used, like wasn't being used, that got donated to charity. And yeah, it looks great in there. Delighted. So big tick for that. Wash my clothes and sheets less. I was very guilty before last year of just sort of like, if I'd had something on for about an hour, I'd stick it in the wash or stuff like that. And I've been much better about that, and particularly with my sheets. In the summer it's a different story, but I was washing my sheets like every week when it was the winter, and like they weren't dirty or anything, so they didn't need washing. So I sort of like, in the winter I went to once every 2 weeks, and in the summer stuck to what it is. But like clothes and stuff like that, jumpers, definitely I would be much more likely to air something than wash it. So I was very pleased with that last year. Read aloud a book a month with David. So at the beginning of the year, and again when I filmed this video, we were really in the throes of it. David and I had big plans that every month we would read a book aloud to each other, and it was really nice when we did do it. I'm a bit gutted we didn't carry on with it, but I suppose like the same way with the Duolingo, like life sort of gets in the way, and you only have to miss a few days, and then you just fall off of the book isn't as good as the previous book or something like that, and it just sort of falls to the wayside. So the plan is that David and I would read a book aloud to each other, taking it in turns to read chapters once, like 1 book a month. We did it for January, February. We missed March because we didn't enjoy the book we were reading in March, and then we started reading Taste by Stanley Tucci, which I think probably wasn't the best book to read, because although we were enjoying the sort of like Stanley Tucci side of things, sometimes there was like pages of recipes, and reading out recipes to each other, it's just no fun. So yeah, so we didn't continue past April with that, so that's a shame really. Maybe that's something we need to think about again. And then the last one was decorate the spare room, and if I'm being honest, I think it was maybe a bit of a big ask in the year that we were getting married to, also a year when we're trying not to spend as much money, to then think, oh yeah, let's decorate a room. So we didn't get around to doing that, and I think that was sensible, and maybe that has been brought forward to this year. So yeah, so let's move on to this year's goals. So 10 goals for this year. Excited by all of these and think these are all pretty achievable. So the first one is a sort of fitness goal, or I'm going to call it more of a movement goal. So what I decided I wanted to do is I was going to do 1 million steps in 100 days. So I'm in a desk job. My hobbies include sitting down and reading. I don't do all that much movement. A couple of years ago during lockdown, I was having a lovely time doing Couch to 5k, and I've done that a few times and started it again a few times, but this time I thought I would set myself a sort of goal that encompasses like 100 days. So as I said, the goal is to get 1 million steps in 100 days, which works out at 10,000 steps a day. Now 10,000 steps a day is achievable if you are walking out and about, or you get a chance to go out and about. Sometimes my life does not accommodate for that. Like I said, I'm in a desk job. Very often the only time I'll need to walk is to walk to the toilet or to walk to the photocopier, and this goal is sort of like pushing me to sort of like at lunchtime get out and do a round around the block or something like that. And also it means that I don't have to do 10,000 steps a day. If I go for a walk at the weekend, for instance, and do like 25,000 steps, that means that that still counts within that period. So I need to do 1 million steps within those 100 days. And I've also decided to start this on the first day of spring. So I think it's the 26th of March, 26th of March, when the clocks here go forward, which will allow there to be like more light. When you're a woman, you don't always want to go walking in the dark by yourself, particularly not listening to an audiobook. So I thought doing this when there's more light will be nicer. This also encapsulates some like nice weather, not too hot weather. It's going to include mine and David's honeymoon, which is really nice because it means we'll be doing a lot of walking then. And I'm going to do myself a nice little chart and log me steps a day, whether or not I'm on target or ahead of target or behind target, and sort of do an accumulator for the month. If this is something that you might be interested in taking part in and joining me with, I don't know if I'm going to do like a big join me thing, but I might make the sheet that I'm going to fill these things in public, or maybe put it on my Patreon. I don't know, it's just, it depends how, if people are interested, but I thought that's a really nice goal, because 1 million is a big number. I'm frightened of big numbers as well, so like 1 million is a big number, and to break that down to doing roughly 10,000 steps a day with maybe more steps done at the weekend to accommodate for like less steps being done in the week, or like maybe like when I'm on my period and I don't want to move, that sort of thing. I thought it was a really nice, healthy goal, and I'm really looking forward to starting it. So that's the first one. The next one is about listening to new music. I don't listen to any new music. I really don't. I listen to Kate Nash and sort of music from my like R&B from when I was growing up. So probably like my music tastes are firmly sort of set sort of 15, 20 years ago, really. And this year so far, this is another one of these things that I've already started doing it, so hopefully I'll carry on with it. I'm listening to a new album a month. Now, when I say new, I mean sort of like in the last year. So in January, I listened to constantly and really loved Prioritise Pleasure, which is Self-Esteem's album. And loved that. I really enjoyed listening to it. Last month in February, I listened to SOS by, I think it's SZA, S-Z-A. That album came out like in December, so that's a very new album. And then this month, because David and I are going to see Sam Ryder at the end of the month, I'm going to listen to Sam Ryder's album. So far so good, and I'm really enjoying listening to the new music because, like I said, it's in the last year. But as the year goes forward, I think I'm going to have a look at sort of like album, like I'd already had these, so I wanted to listen to Self-Esteem's album. I'd heard really good things about SZA's album, and then I knew this month I was going to want to listen to Sam Ryder's album because we're going to see Sam Ryder at the end of the month. So going forward, I think I'm going to have a little look at the album chart and stuff like that and see what albums we've got coming out, and hopefully this year, by the end of the year, I would have listened to 12 new albums, which is unheard of behaviour for me. And the next one is something that I really hope we manage to pull off, but the people, well, me and Mercedes would like to bring back our podcast. We did a podcast years ago. I wasn't even living in this flat. Mercedes and I had a podcast called Books and Blankets, and it was a podcast that we used to release on YouTube, and we would do it monthly, and we would sort of like Skype one another and just talk about some sort of like bookish theme. We both enjoyed doing it, but we're both absolute lazy shits, so it's really hard to get us. And Mercedes was the one doing all the sort of like editing and stuff, but again, we fell off the routine of doing it. But we really would like to do it back. We both really enjoy listening to bookish podcasts, and like being able to do a podcast now is a lot more sort of easier than it was back then, I guess. David also knows how to do a lot of it, so we're really keen to bring back the podcast. We're thinking, we've had like sort of preliminary talks about this. We might do it monthly with plans to potentially go fortnightly, and keep it really simple. So basically just chat about what we're reading, maybe have like a little bookish question or something like that. But yeah, it would be really nice to bring back our podcast this year, really. So let's see how that goes. Number 4 is a goal that I've already spoken about. It's 100 new to me films. I'm bringing that forward. As I said, this year I'm doing really well. I'm on, oh, actually, I can tell you how many I'm on. I thought it was 16, but maybe that's a bit... Yeah, 16 new to me films. I've watched 17 films this year, and 16 of them have been new to me. So yeah, that's very good going, considering this time last year I'd only watched 1 or 2. That's definitely on target to get that done by the end of the year. Number 5 is don't let the bookshelves get out of hand. So I had a really good sort out at the beginning of the year, and anything that was on its side, I don't want anything going on its side, like sideways on, and I want to be able to see everything, basically. So the less I can use these bottom shelves, the better, because they don't really get a look in, especially in the summer months when we move the sofa in front of this. So yeah, I really want to keep on top of them looking nice, keeping them polished. The dust on them when I sorted them out at Christmas was unbelievable. But yeah, so far so good. And maybe think about doing a sort of mid-year sort out as well. So like I did a big sort out at the end of last year. I did get rid of a real large amount of books, but yeah, I really want to keep on top of it this year because they look lovely. Although, however, I do like doing that big sort out at the end of the year. But yeah, they need to stay beautiful, and so far they are. Number 6 is, this is very sensible. Come up with a summer survival plan and implement and stick to it. So, I hate summer. I hate hot weather. And I don't think that's ever going to change. Now, the climate we live in, I live in the southeast of England, and summers are getting hotter, really hotter. Last summer was the hottest summer on record. It was unbelievable. It was relentless, and I was just so miserable the whole summer because I don't like hot weather. I feel like I can't concentrate. My diet's not good because I'm eating like stuff like just crap because I can't be bothered to like prepare food. I'm missing out on doing things with my friends and family because I don't want to leave the house and things like that. And it just got a bit out of hand last year, and I was very, very sad at the beginning of August, probably because of the relentless hot weather. So this year I feel like I need to come up with a sort of summer survival plan, things on how to stay cool, like things I'm going to tell myself, and just keep calm and try and enjoy life a little bit more in the summer. I always feel like maybe I've got sort of like undiagnosed SADS, because whenever there's seasonal changes I always feel a bit blue anyway. But yeah, the summer was a real tough one. The summers have always been tough for me, but like last summer was really, really bad in terms of like mental health and just feeling awful. So I'd really like to come up with a summer survival plan where I'm not going to get myself all panicked, and I'm able to sort of enjoy some of the time during the summer and get a bit of sunshine, because I do need that vitamin D, don't I? Like, I'm not getting it by staying indoors all the time. So yeah, we need to come up with that. That is a work in progress. I haven't got anything planned apart from like, let's just try and enjoy summer a bit this year, and she will. Number 7 is decorate the spare room. As I said, last year we were planning to decorate the spare room. We didn't get around to doing it. We had a wedding to pay for and things like that. But David now works majority from home, and that is where he lives when he's working from home. So it would be really nice for him to have a space. We've got like a second-hand desk that we got from my friend Emma, and it's very small, very nice of her to give us that desk. But like, he needs a bigger desk. He's got 2 monitors on there, it's not big enough. And the room itself's got a bed in it that we never use, and it just could do with a good decorate. So yeah, we're gonna do that. That will probably be in warmer months, because we'll want to have the windows open and stuff like that when we're painting in there. So yeah, we will get around to doing that this year, hopefully, and I'm looking forward to it very much. And I've got to remember that I've got to make it sort of like Dave. I mean, these books have infiltrated the whole of our house. Maybe he could do with a little room by himself, but I really would like it to be pink and green, but we'll see. Next up is, oh, this is one, I don't know how measurable this is, but number 8 is learn the tiniest amount of Norwegian. There's no sort of big, you've got to learn all of this in Norwegian, but David and I are going on our honeymoon later on this year, and we are going to Norway, and it would be really nice to go to a country and just have an idea of what is being spoken. I always feel like going on holiday to a country where I know nothing about the culture or nothing about the language, and we don't travel very often as well, so this is a big deal for us to be going like to another country. It would be really nice to sort of know some basics. Now, we've both got Duolingo. We're sort of 4 days in, so this is early doors into learning some Norwegian. I'm trying to think of anything I can think of in Norwegian now. Nope. Nothing. That might be who. Han is he. Yeah, it's very, very early days, but I would like to know a little bit, particularly things like numbers and stuff that are quite helpful when you're out and about. So yeah, that is the tiniest bit of Norwegian I would like to learn. Next up is watercolours. You know what I said earlier about there being like, oh, a bit tough, isn't it, to do like a crafty thing every month. I got a watercolour set for Christmas, which I'd asked for from my sister, and I cracked open it a few weeks ago and did a little bit of practicing, and didn't do any sort of like, just practice some techniques and stuff, and I had such a lovely time doing it. It was really, really calming. I filmed it. I did a vlog while it was happening, so you can go and have a look at that. But I'd really like to paint something this year. My original plan was that I would paint the front covers of all the books that I've read, but I've done no progress on that. Maybe that might be something that I sit down and get on with, but it might similarly just be that I just want to sort of like paint anything, or paint something, or paint something for Christmas, or do something for myself, or a card to give to someone. I'd really like to sort of like have a finished watercolor project by the end of this year. That could be anything from like I said, a card for somebody, to that previous project I mentioned about front covers. Yeah, I just would like to paint something, and I had a lovely time to trying out all those techniques and everything, and I think with a bit of practice I could actually be all right at it. So let's see. And then the last one is also to do with these bookshelves, and that is cut back, or potentially stop entirely buying secondhand books. I think habits really are something that I've looked at particularly last year when I was cutting back on my spending, because last year when I was cutting back on my spending, I was although I was allowing myself to buy like one new thing a month, I was allowing myself to buy secondhand stuff. So like, I was collecting secondhand glassware for the wedding, and if I saw something secondhand like an item of clothing or something, I was allowing myself to do that. What I noticed is that I was when I got rid of all my books, so many of those were secondhand books that I'd bought like in a charity shop, or I've got a charity desk at work and I often pass there every time I go over to the hospital. I have a look there and pick something up, and like sometimes you get absolute steals. So I got like The Appeal for 50p, like, and had a lovely time reading it. So that's fine. If you're going to get a book that's an absolute bargain, you're going to read it instantly, then great. Use a charity shop. And because I'd always bought books from charity shops, like that was something that I did like all the way through sixth form, through university, and like obviously still do now. It's hard to get out of the habit of that, particularly like if I think, oh, I enjoyed a book by that author, I will buy that now, and like you've got no plans to read it. That's how I've ended up with like 4 Persephone books, because I bought them all secondhand thinking what a bargain, and I haven't read any of them. I have read one now. And yeah, so when I got rid of a lot of my books, a lot of them were secondhand ones that I bought secondhand and then never even read. So yeah, it's not to say don't buy any secondhand books, it's to say have a good cutback at it, Lauren, because you ended up getting rid of a lot of them anyway. So yeah, that's that. So the 10 goals for the rest of the year are 1 million steps in 100 days, a new album every month, my podcast, 100 new to me films, don't let the bookshelves get out of hand, come up with a summer survival plan and implement it, decorate the spare room, learn the tiniest bit of Norwegian, paint something using my watercolours, and cut back on buying secondhand books. And do you know what? I think they are all so achievable and also enjoyable. I'm really, really pleased with that. And hopefully this time next year, we'll be sitting here going, oh yeah, she's done I did almost all of those, so well done. Or even all of those, that would be lovely. Let me know if you've got any goals for the rest of the year. Let me know what you think of these goals. If you think they sound achievable, we'll be very, very interested. If any of them, if you had to pick one of those goals that I've made, which one would you pick? And yeah, I'll see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye!